Hey guys, I'm joined by the one and only Dale Macpherson, 3D Strength. How you doing, buddy?
All right, mate. You?
Always good to chat to you, mate. You're looking strong. I've been following your videos, but this weekend, you're not a competitor. You're not even a coach. You are promoter extraordinaire, and you're running the Britain's Strongest Man under 120 kilo class, which is
yes, sir.
First time ever. It's an interesting weight class. So I thought I'd get you on and talk about this because, I mean, you're an under 90 kilo athlete yourself, aren't you?
Under 90, 105s, yeah. Moving up to 105s and open weight now.
You're getting fatter now.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
But this is an interesting weight class because originally you had opens and you had the under 105s. And then we started to see the introduction of different weight classes over the years. Now, this, I feel, is a really good class to bridge that gap between being an under 105 and then going into the depths of competing against the Brian Shaws who are 200 kilos and right. I mean, there's freaks of nature out there. There's like Novikov, who's around the 132 135 mark, but a lot of the heavyweights you start looking at 150 plus, and it is a huge jump to go from that 105 up to the next weight class. So what was your thought process to sort of bring this event?
Well, obviously from competing in the sport and knowing the different weight classes, etc. I've always thought the guys who are 105, none of the people who generally try and cut down to make 105, because I've competed with guys abroad and that, and they're like 120 kilos on the day when they have like the drips and all that sort of stuff. And I've always thought like that's mental just to make a weight class, because technically you're actually a heavyweight strongman.
Yeah.
So it first come in my mind, it was the last Arnold's, and I remember speaking to one of the lads who, when he weighed in, and he was 120 kilos the next day, because I remember walking past him, I seen him, and I went, fucking hell. I went, what have you been doing? And he went, oh, now I've just water cut, and I put my weight back on. I went, how much do you weigh? He went, oh, about 120. I went, 120? I was like, fucking hell, man. And then something started ticking in my head, and I thought, like, what does it take to be a good 105 in the heavyweights? There isn't that many people who have went on to become a really world-class strongman or a good open-weight strongman, in the sense of like Graham Hicks, Adam Bishop, Rob Kearney. I'll use them as an example. They're like rarities, but at the same time, Hicksy, that's pushing on 150, 160.
Yeah.
Bishop's like, you get what I'm saying. So
I think one of the things is, I mean, people will always use guys like that to kind of as a counter argument of why not to do it. But the reality is those few guys are very few and far between.
Yeah, 100%.
They are the exception to the rule. And for the majority, I've seen many guys try and go from the under 105 class to the heavyweights and just fade into obscurity because their bodies cannot handle the competitive weights and stresses of regular open weight competition. And you can't just use one or two people as an excuse, especially with the way the sport's growing now. It's becoming more accessible to more people. We've got more people doing it, more people in different classes. So why not bring in a class like this? It makes perfect sense. And as you addressed just then, you've seen what some of the guys do to try and get themselves down to these under 105.
Yeah, cut weight. And why not have a class there which allows those guys at 105 who are maybe struggling to make weight to actually go, right, I don't feel like I'm good enough to be an open weight strongman, not in the sense of I can't compete as an open weight strongman, but how can I still compete at a national and international level, for example, at my weight class? Because not every person in the world is going to be world's strongest man and get to Giants Live, and that, unfortunately, because that's what we all want. So why not give the guys a platform to actually compete at national, international levels at a weight category which is, in technical terms, light heavyweight. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you're going to use it as that sort of term. Because going from 15, 16 stone, 105 kilos, you jump up and the max you can get to is 110 kilos. And you've got to pick up a 200 kilo sandbag, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? That's just a brief example. Yeah. If you're going against some of these guys, for example, I'll just use Andy Black for a massive example. Andy Black naturally is about 160 kilos, regardless of what happens. Do you know what I mean? Brian Shaw's, guys like them, they're just absolutely huge. Yeah. So, we all know that, the bigger you are doesn't mean you're stronger. But let's be realistic in the sport we're in. If you've got a guy who's got a talent as a heavyweight strongman and a guy who's got talent as a lightweight strongman, unfortunately, the bigger guy will always win.
Well, if it was just about the heavyweights, we would lose out on some impressive, characters, some impressive names. I mean, you're an exceptional lifter. Just using you as a good example, some of the numbers that you've done are insane. But if we chucked you into Britain's Strongest Man, there's just certain events, being your size, you will struggle to match the likes of Andy Black.
I'd get folded in half.
Yeah, and that's we've been in the under 105s, in the under 90s, in powerlifting as well. You see so many impressive lifters.
Yeah, of course. I'll give you a massive example. Ben Kelsey, amazing strongman.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. So you imagine when he was round, if there was like a 120 category.
Yeah, he would,
because he was phenomenal. But putting that size on to move up to the Giants level and Worlds level, that was quite hard. And that was nothing to do with his general strength. It was just the body mass, you know what I mean? Like, if you're running around with a 500 kilo yoke on your back for a few events and you haven't trained for it and all that sort of stuff, out with guys like Derek Poundstone have fractured vertebrae and stuff doing it. And they're like freaks. Do you know what I mean? So, like, so this weight class is just something I've thought, do you know what? Let's give it not a season, give it 3, 4, 5 seasons and see where it goes, because it's not going to be instant hit straight away because it's new. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And when
how many guys have you got signed up for it?
So we've got 15 competing 100% on Saturday. We did have nearly 30, obviously with injuries, illness, and people sort of like, when
this is a real busy weekend of shows in the UK anyway. There's a number of things going on. It's been a real nightmare. Obviously, with all the date changes, everything seems to have happened on this weekend. But you've got some brilliant athletes competing. Let's go through the events, because I looked at these events. You sent them through. These are tough events.
Oh, I'm not going to make it easy. It's strongman at the end of the day, lads. Yeah. So we're going to start off with a car deadlift. So, why I thought we'd do the car deadlift side handles is because it's a little bit more iconic strongman. Saves the 1 rep max stuff. Do you know what I mean? And like, it's basically we're gonna have a nice Ford Fiesta on there with 300 kilos worth of weight in the back of it.
Cool.
So the one rule I try and stick to when I run a competition with car deadlift is you don't want it too heavy to the point where you're only getting 1 or 2. And you don't want it too light where someone's getting 30 reps. Yeah. So we've been testing it vigorously, and we found they've just at the ideal point where we might look at like 10 to 15. I think that's about right.
Yes, I agree. You kind of want the best guys maybe just about hitting double figures.
Yeah, that's about right, isn't it? But you still want the guys who maybe aren't as good as deadlifters and that still be able to get a few out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then after that, we have got a tire flip, 350 kilos, max flips in a minute. One of those ones, test the lungs, test the grip, test the endurance.
I mean, 90s, early 2000s, tire flip was everywhere. Marius Pudzianowski type events.
Yeah, it's like Ollie Thompson used to love it as well. Terry Holland used to love it as well. They're just basically old school events because I like it. I like making strongman sometimes. You know what I mean? I like making it some good events. And then we've got a 300 kilo frame carry into 160 kilo chain drag. But my chain has 100 kilo like anchor on it.
Yeah.
So you might pick up the 60 kilo chain and you're like, oh, this is all right. And all of a sudden, when it's dragging against the concrete, 5-10 meters in, it hits you like a ton of shit.
Yeah.
Like bad.
Their hamstrings are going to be screaming at them. They're going to be collapsing, falling over.
Yeah, we've got that. And then we've got a 400 kilo yoke for 20 meters. I thought that was about right for the weight class because I want to see some good pace as well. You know what I mean?
400. Often you see 400 kilos in the open level, events. So 400 is going to be challenging. You might get a few guys that can go at a good pace. You're going to get plenty of guys that struggle with 400 as well.
Plod. But at the end of the day, normally I'd put a drop rule in, but as long as I don't slide, I'm not too bothered for this year because I'm trying to find out the standard where we're at the moment. Because I'm trying to standardize it. So I've sort of picked the events, but sort of kind of thought in my head, right, I want this to be successful because I want people to be able to do it. but I don't want to make it too light at the same time. Do you know what I'm saying? Just so people can get involved. And because at the end of the day, the more people who want to get involved, the more the weight class will grow.
Yeah.
And then after that, we've got a 110 barbell axle.
The overhead medley, I think you got.
Overhead medley, it's 120 barbell clean and press, 130 axle clean and press for 1 rep each, 140 log clean and press for 1 rep each. And then I've got a 78 kilo Thomas Inch replica, which you've got to rep out.
Okay, so
and you get 75 seconds. So it's a barbell, axle, log, 1 rep, 1 rep, 1 rep, and then rep out on the dumbbell. But the dumbbell you can rep out as long as you come back to your shoulder. That's fine. So it's on the fat handles.
Yeah. The Thomas Inch dumbbells are great. They're a good grip training tool.
Yeah, they are, mate. Yeah, so I thought that was like a good little one as well, because it mixes it up a bit. And then we get like the variations of cleans, we get the variations of different sort of shoulder events. And we also, it gives people a chance to kind of gain and lose points at the same time as well. For example, some people are better on a log, but they're not very good at an axle, and they need to get past it. And some people are great at a single arm dumbbell, but they might be not too good in sort of like the axle and the log or barbell or whatever, you know.
Every kind of
yeah, 100%. And then to finish, I wanted to put stones in there, but I wanted to make it my version of Atlas stones, where we put a little stamp in it. So it's actually a stone to shoulder run.
Yeah, I saw this and I was quite impressed by it. So they've got it's still a run, but they've got to go to the shoulder with every stone.
Yeah, so remember, hand off, under control, but it's got to be on your shoulder, not on your chest, because some people do that. Yeah. They lean back and just put it on the chest and do that instead. It's got to be right up on the shoulder, hands off. As long as it's under control, drop it down the front, not at the back. That's fine by me. So we're going to go 100, 110, 120, 130, and 140, all in one run. That'll be 75 seconds, that one, but that's going to be the last event. So after everything, the lads are going to be a little bit tired as well.
6 events this is as well, so it's going to be a tough day for them.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So I just thought it was quite a well-balanced competition on like a full all-round level. Do you know what I mean? And I wanted to make it a little bit of fun for the lads as well, bring the endurance into it, that sort of thing.
It's because strongman. You got that combination
I like that
of events where you got the deadlift in there. You need to be strong for that. Obviously, the overhead pressing, the weights are good challenging weights on the moving events, but you've got a good mixture of conditioning, movement, power. It's definitely going to test them as an all-round athlete. Yeah,
the good thing was this year, because obviously we haven't ran it before, we didn't have any qualifiers. So, for example, it was basically me saying, look, if you're interested in the First Britain's 120s, here's your shot this year to message me. I'll send you the events. If you feel like you're up for it, get your name down. That's fine. Yeah. Obviously, moving forward with it next year or the year after, if I can, I'd love to have a Northern, Southern, Midlands qualifier, one in Ireland, one in Scotland, one in Wales. I'd love that. That's my 5-year sort of plan. If we can get a few people to jump on board with me to maybe take it on, and we can all work out, and then we'll have a championship.
I'm sure there's going to be people watching from all over the world that think this would be a good weight category for.
Well, there's the long-term target. Who knows? Official Strongman Games one day might turn around and go, you know what, let's put a 120 weight category on, because I've had a few lads from America message me saying they're very interested in that weight category itself.
And I think this is the thing. We kind of, there's always the argument with some people just want to see the biggest, strongest guy compete. I want to see the sport grow, as I know you do as well.
100%, mate. Yeah.
And when you look at, if we were only to watch the super heavyweights, how many amazing fighters would we miss out on?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, totally. I totally agree, mate.
It's the same thing now in Strongman. We're creating different classes. There's, you've got the masters, you've got the juniors, you've got the men, you've got the women, you've got all sorts of, categories going on. It makes it more accessible. It brings more people to the sport. It helps everyone grow.
The more people you bring to the sport with more options, the more we always talk about the grassroots of the sport can build, because people have different options to compete. Do you know what I'm saying? When you've got loads of different avenues to go down, and you can go, right, so who do I get in touch with to go down this sort of route? And it becomes this sort of like little network of people. It's like us being coaches. Oh, have you ever seen this before? What do you think of this? Oh, I don't know. It's a bit shit, but I'd try it like this. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I speak to you, I speak to Hicksy, I speak to Dan, I speak to Delroy. It's the same sort of thing with promoters. You get in touch with each other when you talk. And like, that's one thing I want to sort of get rid of, is the kind of, well, he's not competing there because I don't like him. He's not competing there because I don't like her. Do you know, like that sort of shit? I'm trying to eliminate that. I want it to be like a fresh category.
It's why I love talking to you, because you do talk to some people. I know there's people that only like the heavyweights. I know there's people out there that only like watching the lightweights. You know, you and me, like strongman, doesn't matter regardless of age, ability.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We just want to keep watching strongman.
Yeah, I had a guy the other day, Dave, right? So his one target he's always had is to get over 100 kilo above his head, no matter what it was.
Yeah.
So I put him, and he's been training with me 3 years, and he just hasn't been quite able to get into his head to get over 90 kilo. 12-week plan. In the space of 1 week, he's got 100 kilo push press and a 103 log, and it's his WhatsApp photo now of his log above his head.
And it's brilliant, isn't it?
That's what it's all about, awesome. You know what I mean? Now he's entered like a novice competition in Wales.
Amazing.
Just going for it. So, like, for me and you, mate, it's like you say, we were talking about the 120 tonight, but this is just like another little brick in the house that is Strongman and Strongwoman. We just wanted to build.
Just to kind of clarify for people that are watching, you know, if someone's good enough to go to World's Strongest Man at 120 kilos, fair play to them. That's awesome.
100%.
The majority of people are not going to be able to do that. You know, so this is giving, you know, you've seen the people on a drip kind of trying to hydrate themselves back up because they've forced themselves to lose 20 kilos to try and drop down in a weight class, almost killing themselves.
No,
it's ridiculous. You know, it's not worth it. You're absolutely right. Whereas this gives those guys that are sort of hovering around that 120 area. All right, if you're 125, you can drop 5 kilos.
Oh, Loz, I've had a really fun laugh with people, and like it's always like about the weigh-ins, and I go, you need a weigh-in for 120 kilos. I say, you must be a right fat bastard, you know, and they laugh at me. I'm going, I don't understand. I've never known 120 kilos, and I think you have to diet for it.
Yeah. Oh, I'd have to
chop a leg off.
Yeah, I'd have to chop a leg off to get to 105 for sure. I've set myself a target of getting down to 130, so you never know. Although
I might see Loz there in a couple of years.
No, mate, I'll be there from the side watching, cheering the guys on. That will do me fine. Mate, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I know it was short notice to come on today, but I just wanted people to
no problem, man.
Of a different weight class that's coming. Obviously, see what you're doing. Guys, is there, well, just before I go, is there a way of anyone watching this? It's not going to be streamed or anything?
I'm going to stream it on my 3D Strength page on Instagram. So every event's going to come through it'll be live on the page.
So Instagram, 3D Strength, you're going to do the live stream on there?
Yeah, it'll be from 11 o'clock. So what I'll do is on the morning, I'll go on, I'll put a little video on, I'll tell everyone sort of like the rough event schedule, what time everything's going to be on. I'll post it on my IG TV, and then I'll go from there. So 11 o'clock, we should be kicking off, and we'll be there till about 4 o'clock.
Brilliant. Guys, so you know where to go. We'll put a link down below anyway to Dale's Instagram. Make sure you check it out. Dale's always great to follow. He does some brilliant interviews with various different athletes. Just a massively passionate person about the sport. So thank you for promoting and putting back to the sport. No problem, and I'll see you soon, buddy. All right?
See you soon, mate. Thanks a lot.
Take it easy. Cheers.